Hi again. Are you feeling any tension these days? I see it in people all around me, and I feel it somewhat in myself too. Just this past week, Sharon and I were in Costco provisioning, and we waited in line for 8 or 10 minutes and then moved into the store. Once we got into the store, it was quite easy, and checking out was easy. I was interested in something that my checkout clerk said. And I'm quoting, "I'm sick of this. I want this to end. I can't go anywhere. I can't do what I want. They better do something about this and soon." Tension. Tension like there was in Egypt all those years ago when everybody waited to see what would happen when the angel of death passed over. Tension like there was surrounding Jesus at that Passover where he celebrated the Last Supper with his disciples. Everybody wanted to make him king, and he kept talking about dying. The pressure was on. How did Jesus deal with the tension? He prayed. I know, standard answer, right? But I want you to notice what he prayed. And before I show you that, I want you to think about prayer maybe differently than you have before. Prayer is like breathing. We need it to survive. It's not a case of learning to pray the right way. It would have been unthinkable for those early Christians to consider someone who claimed to be a Christian and didn't pray. They needed to live, didn't they? Then they needed to pray. Jesus prayed. He prayed what turns out to be the shortest prayer we have recorded from him. You know, there are 19 prayers of Jesus recorded in the gospel, or at least 19 times he's recorded as praying, but only 8 of those times actually give us a record of what he prayed. And this one is the shortest. John chapter 12, he says, "Father, glorify your name." When you hear that word glory or glorify, what do you think of? Too often we think of glory as some kind of human perfection, or we think of prayer for glory as somehow transporting us to another level of existence where we have a better connection with God. But in reality, biblically, glory is what is produced when God shows up. In the great things and in the mundane things. Glory is a sunrise or a sunset. Glory is a soul that was saved, because neither of those situations can be produced by humans. It's something God does. And so Jesus, in the midst of all this tension and in the midst of dealing with what was surely coming, he knew it, he talked about it, his death, said, "Father, glorify your name." How does this encourage us? How does this help us, Doug? Well, look around that prayer. Look to just before it. Jesus says in John 12:27, "Now my soul is troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour?" No, it's for this reason I came into the world. He struggled to pray the right thing. As a human being, of course he was God as well, but as a human being, he had no desire to die, to suffer the way he knew he was going to. So how come he did? Just before, he tells us, "Unless a kernel of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much fruit." If you want to save your life, you need to lose it. That's the principle of the kingdom. And so here we are in all of this tension, and we need to learn to pray for what God is doing and not what we want. Did you know that this is the only prayer recorded in the Gospels where we have a recorded answer from the Father? And so Jesus prays, "Father, glorify your name." And the Father says, "I have glorified it and I will glorify it." This is a done deal. I'm going to keep showing up. So as we enter this Easter weekend, and as the tension only increases, as the death counts climb, death has been defeated, and we can pray for the glory of God and not just for what we want. God help us to do that. Have a great Easter.